Oh, some more campfire stories by mikeburnfire. Should I join the military? As always, the links to the original video and channel are going to be down in the description below, so go ahead and make sure that you check them out. Personally, if you ever ask me, should you join the military, I'm going to say, pick Air Force. Maybe pick Navy under certain conditions. Maybe not Army or Marines if you don't want to hate your life, right? I mean, or if you do, go in there. I mean, I had bad experiences. Everybody does. Some have good experiences from what I hear. Although there are those moments where, specifically, a buddy of mine who's still in, I'm pretty sure he extended, right? So for like an extra 2 years, if not, maybe went for a whole nother reenlistment. And he's not having the greatest time. I mean, he's been posting these statuses on his Facebook, man. I'm urging him, post them on YouTube. People are going to watch because they feel kind of like this campfire stories as far as the way he typed it, like his real experiences. And there's so many stories of him pretty much getting screwed over, right? If he does it, post them on. I feel like I kind of want to ask him, like, hey man, can I upload them? I'm gonna make sure that they know it's you. It's not my story, right? If he says yes, great. If he says nah, he doesn't feel comfortable doing that, I'll say, hey, that sucks, but hey, I respect it, right? But dude, if you all read some of the stories, I don't know. Let's go ahead and see what he tells people when Zach is told, should I join the military? So before getting into the video, don't forget to like, subscribe. Really does help me a lot. Hit that notification bell so you get notified every time I do upload. Without wasting too much more time, let's go ahead and get right into the video.
I get a lot of people still ask me, oh, should I join the military? It's like, I can't make that decision for you. I can tell you about stuff that happened to me while I was in the military. It's not the worst thing ever you could do, but you just got to really be sure it's what you want to do.
If you're asking, should I join the military? I think you shouldn't.
I've always thought about this too. Should I join the military? Now that I think about it, that's a very weird question. I think another question, because at that point it's like, why are you asking someone if you should or shouldn't, right? It'd just be like, hey, something like, hey, you were in the military, was it, like, how was your experience? Like, ask for someone's experience, right? And depending on what their job was, if it was a great experience, maybe try to go for that job, right? But should I join? I mean, you should or shouldn't, I feel like it could be thrown up in the air, right? Yeah, but I think more like, hey, what was your experience, right? And then depending on that, it'll probably make you say, like, hey, if you wanted to join or not. If that makes sense, because now that I think about it, should I join? Kind of a weird way to phrase that question, even though I know the intent behind it, right?
Know you want to join the military? You're probably the kind of person that would fit in.
Yeah.
But if you're pondering, should I? Is this a good use of my time? Probably not.
It depends entirely on what your job is. You can go in the Air Force and be like computer repair. There are jobs in the Army that are basically just like office jobs. There's other jobs like in the Navy or in the Air Force that are incredibly technical jobs. It's better than getting a college education. I don't want to tell people 100% outright, no, don't join the military. But I also don't want to tell people, yes, you should join the military. Everybody should join the military. It's the best thing ever, because it is.
Okay, as far as when I said don't join, obviously, I was saying more along the lines of kind of how he said it right here. I think he just said it great right here. Depending on the job, right? If you want to have a pretty good time, you at least want to get some kind of training, right, for somewhat free, right? Because you're not paying for it. They're paying you actually. Go get an office job, man. Get some technical job. I feel like that would probably be the more better thing if that is the way. I mean, some people just say, hey, put me in the infantry. I want to be on the front lines. Great, whatever, You
got to really, really consider, do you want to put up with X years of bullshit and getting yelled at for stuff that you didn't do, having to stand in formation for absolutely no reason? The potential job you'll have in the military, is that worth dealing with that bullshit?
And I think there are a lot of high school students that aren't experienced enough to make that decision. So I would say, as a catch-all, no, don't join the military. Look at other options first. The military, if you're not sure, should be a last resort. It might help you escape a terrible living situation. It might help you if you're in trouble with the law. But for the most part, you're possibly better served doing anything else.
I don't necessarily agree with that, but I understand why you say that.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't have learned as much about firearms as I did if I hadn't joined the military.
Wouldn't you? You
Yeah, I mean, as far as it being like a last, I mean, I could see why you would want to make a, for some people, like be a last resort, but some people just do it. Some people have done it because like tradition. Some people do it because maybe they want to be the first one. Some people do it because like, hey, do you want to go to college? But they don't. Yeah, for some reason, maybe they didn't get the scholarships. Maybe they don't want to have. Maybe they would have to take out big loans essentially, right, to be able to attend like a college that costs more. And then if you go in the military, you can get it paid for, right? So it's definitely an option in that manner. What did he say? Yeah, I mean, you do learn quite a bit of stuff in the military that you probably think you wouldn't have learned. I mean, I learned quite a bit of camaraderie, right? Like really having someone's back, which to me, it was good. I mean, because like I was more into doing things by myself, right? I really didn't like participating like in group events or like even doing like things in groups. But being in the Marine Corps, it kind of helped you because that's when I really realized when you had like your buddies, right? Or like your fire team, whatever, and everybody doing things for one common purpose, it made things so much easier, right? Like you didn't have to do everything by yourself. And also for me, it really showed me how much, I guess, BS you can take mentally as far as getting yelled at, or physically as far as like how far you can actually push your body. And then after a certain point, you just don't even feel it anymore, and you just are still able to go forward, right? So I guess a lot of that not necessarily not giving up mentality, but being able to put up with a lot of stuff more than what you thought you initially could have, or maybe you could in the beginning, but then you learned it, right?
You could have spent a bunch of time studying in your free time. All that time you spent standing in formations and doing push-ups for being punished for other people's mistakes, you could spend that learning about firearms.
Yeah, but being in the military, it was an excellent resource for being allowed to play around with machine guns.
There are gun clubs you could join.
But do they have a 240 Bravo?
Probably not.
Is there a gun club I could join where a bunch of special forces guys are going to say, hey, do you want to come to a firing range with us tomorrow? And I'll say, does a bear shit in the woods?
It offered you some unique experiences.
It did. Some of them bad, some of them good.
Some people say they want to join the military so the military can make them fit. Oh, I want to join the military so I can get in shape.
Go to a gym.
Just go to a gym.
Yeah.
The military is going to yell at you and
Yeah, I mean, dude, there was one guy in particular. I'm not gonna say his name. He was part of my peer group. This dude did not improve at all physically. I improved, man. I actually had 6-pack when I was in Syria. I was actually getting a very big chest. I was being able to lift quite a bit heavy than from what I used to do. And it made me fit, but that was because I actually, there was a lot of times where there was just nothing else to do, and you wanted to get yourself tired, maybe to go to sleep before you had to go back on post, right? So what? You hit the gym really hard, right? And you're eating, and some people didn't do it. I mean, like right now, I mean, as far as that, all of my military buddies still go to the gym like on a frequent basis, right? Just because it was kind of ingrained, but also you see how you look, and you're like, damn, I look pretty damn good. And I looked pretty good back then, too. Not so much now, but, hey, I'm still going to the gym.
tell you do the things you would have done if you had just done them.
And being in the military does not necessarily mean that you will get in shape.
There's plenty of fat asses there.
There are plenty of fatties in the military that cannot pass an APFT and somehow are still in the military.
I will say on that, we had some dudes that were fat. They were just not able to PT at all. We had a lot of skinny people that were just incapable of having that strength or speed, right? I mean, typically, if you don't have one, you usually have the other, but some people just didn't. We did have a couple chubby people that, specifically one dude, he was a machine gunner, but this dude, incredibly strong. He was like a little work mule, right? Dude, this dude was incredibly fast, despite him having a pretty big gut. This guy, I think he scored the best on the PFT in the company, at least, and ranked really high in the CFT. I'm pretty sure he got 300 on both of them. So, I mean, not everybody, but there's very few that just, I guess, would be like an outlier, right? Just those special exceptions. But then again, most of the people who are overweight, I don't know how they're still in, or they don't get put in. I think it was called like a BCP battalion, or like somewhere where they are forced to have to work out and eat better to be in shape.
When I was flying back from BIOP to my base, I had to wait for a helicopter that was going in that direction. I was waiting near the flight line with a bunch of other soldiers, and there was one guy that was sitting there, and he was just wearing like khaki pants, black hoodie, had a baseball cap on, some like Oakley sunglasses. It just looked really out of place because we're on a military base, and yeah, there's civilians there, but this guy is waiting for a military flight and definitely does not hold himself like most of the civilians do. And sitting next to him was a UMP-45, and I had never seen one in person. My only experience with a UMP-45 was Call of Duty. And I'm like, that is a UMP-45. What? Can I look at it? And he's like, yeah, man, go nuts.
May I touch it? Lick it.
That was when I also realized that he had a Glock 19 on a holster, which is not standard issue for most people in the Army. Why do you have this? And he goes, oh, I work for AFES. I knew immediately what he meant.
Is AFES the name of a company?
It's like the Armed Forces Exchange Service. They're the people that run the PX, which is the store that soldiers buy crap from.
Okay.
Basically, he was saying, I work for somebody, I can't tell you who it is for plausible deniability reasons. Pretty much the dude was either really high up in Army SF or was like Delta or something. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to ask any more questions about who you work for because I don't want to get stabbed.
I wouldn't stab you. That will leave evidence.
You're going to get on the helicopter. The crew chief points at him and says, you're not allowed on the helicopter unless you got body armor. Lifts up his hoodie, and he's got like a low visibility plate carrier just completely stacked with UMP-45 magazines. He goes, all right, never mind. Puts down the hoodie, gets on the helicopter.
Concealed.
I'm like, oh my god, this guy's so fucking cool!
Why didn't you join that branch, Zach?
Bro, there's some of these guys. I don't know what it is about them. You can tell like this is the popular guy there, right? I mean, there was. Oh my god. I don't know. I'm trying to picture this dude in my head, and he just looks like he said, operate. I mean, I just genuinely don't know how to describe it. Oh my god. I thought it was funny because he was kind of like fanboying over him, but the part without then when you get on there, right? I mean, and you need a flak, right, or body armor, as you said. And that's pretty much anything that if you're going in a vehicle, you're going in like an Osprey or anything like that. You're going to have to wear one. You're going to have to wear a Kevlar. And I remember when we were getting back from Syria, we were coming with some other guys, and they had like a lieutenant or they had a major with them, right? And when we were coming back, we got off in Kuwait. We start stacking all our gear, and then we're going to go back to get the rest of the stuff, right? Like the rest of the packs. And then from the Osprey. And then, was it the major says, hey, keep your gear on when you go over there to go get the stuff. So we do that. And then all of a sudden, I think it was one of the pilots or somebody there said, why do you guys have your gear on? You guys don't need that. Like, we're not in it. We're not flying. And then it's like, oh, okay, cool. So now we go back, take off all our gear. And then the guy comes back and says, why the hell didn't you guys have your gear on? Why the hell, like, what's going on here? You, like, sergeant? Not to me, but it was to my squad leader. And he says, well, so-and-so, one of the pilots, I'm pretty sure it was the pilot, says, hey, since we're not going, like, flying, right, and we're not going to be, like, actually moving up. And at this point, the damn Osprey has already stopped moving. Like, even the propellers aren't moving. I was like, I don't care. You're going to wear here. And then we're like, okay, so here we go back again. And then at that time, I'm like, you know what? They've pretty much taken all the gear off the damn Osprey already. I really don't think we have to do much. So, yeah, that was kind of an off-topic thing, but I wonder who this guy was. Yeah, out of curiosity.
Oh God, there are legitimately points where I like think back on my military career and I think like I don't know if physically I would have been able to do it, but mentally I'm stubborn enough that I probably could have gone special forces. Like mentally I am stubborn enough.
You have endured a lot of shit.
I have endured a lot of shit and I probably could have it would have sucked. I don't know. I don't know if I could have done it or not. I think while I was in the military, I was in physically good enough shape that maybe I could have done it. Maybe I could have made it through Special Forces selection. I always hesitate to give myself more credit than I think I deserve, which I think I deserve 0 credit whatsoever. In a different world, I probably could have done it.
You could have joined the Marines. That's so prestigious.
I'll tell you right now, I could not. I'm being completely honest.
I believe that I could have at least made it through Ranger School. Any more than that, I'm not sure. Maybe.
I bet I could have done it. Knowing nothing about Ranger School, I bet I could pull it off. Because that's how you get through those things. You fake it till you make it. Blind confidence.
I know there's a lot of people that wash out of Special Forces selection.
But there's a lot of people that don't.
Not that many. We had a guy that was in our unit that had washed out of Special Forces selection. Not through any fault of his own. I think he basically like fucking snapped a tendon in his leg on one of the ruck marches. Because they make you do a lot of ruck marching in Special Forces selection. So he had like snapped a tendon in his leg or something, and he'd washed out once, and then he went back like a couple years later, and then he unfortunately had washed out again. And after the second time, it was like, no, you can't come back again. We appreciate the drive that you have, but
we're only taking people with functioning tendons.
So I kind of wish that I had at least like tried to go, but also I kind of doubt my unit would have let me. They would have been like, oh no, we need you here to fix guns. You can't go to Special Forces selection. You're special to.
We had a recon guy. It was this Asian guy from when we were in SOI. That's when they were telling us like, hey, like who's like interested, I guess, right? And I think like that was your moment to volunteer if you wanted to do that. I know deep down, I'm like, bro, the moment he described what a day would look like for us, I was like, dude, no, I can't. I probably did for a little while, but I'm pretty sure I would wash out. He talked about waking up early as hell, stuffing some food down our throat, going on like a 20-mile some ruck run or something like that. And then we're going to be doing all these different types of exercises. We're going to be having classes. And then it says, and maybe we'll get done by like 2,300 if we're lucky. The next day, do the same thing again. He just described, I forgot a lot of what he said, but it was something every single time to where literally your whole life was going to be that, which I could understand, right? Because these guys are going to be a lot better than your, I guess, common Marine infantrymen, right? So you obviously want to put as much training into them as possible, but it's like, I don't want my whole life dedicated to that. I think there was only like maybe a couple people that volunteered, like less than 10 at least. I wonder how they're doing though right now.
Us by staying here and fixing our guns.
Yeah. Whenever we had to go to firing ranges while I was in the military, I don't know if it was the same thing for the Marines, but for the Army, anytime we had to go to a firing range, we had to wear Kevlar, eye protection, and then our full flak vest.
Cumbersome, but okay.
It's cumbersome and tedious, and I hated doing it. And they're, oh, you gotta train like you fight. Cool. I guess I'll wear this 90-pound piece of shit. Well, I went to an SF range once. I helped install a bunch of suppressors on a bunch of SF guys' rifles.
Wait, the way it says, like, you gotta train the way you fight. Bro, they said that so much. Oh my god. Oh, fuck, man. Oh, God. There's so many sayings that you would hear, and you just think immediately, this guy was in the military. Like, you can tell, right? Just because you've heard that saying, he heard that saying wherever he was from.
The next day, they came down to the shop, and he's like, hey, we're doing a firing range tomorrow. We're just going to be shooting a bunch of random crap. You want to come out to, like, the SF firing range? I'm just like, does the Pope shit in the woods? Because, of course. So I went out there with him, and I brought my flak vest, and I brought my Kevlar, and all, like, my different gear and everything. I get out there, and the guy just running the range is like, all right, you got your flak vest and Kevlar? And I'm like, yeah, they're in the truck. He goes, good, leave them in there, because we're not planning on shooting each other.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just like, yes!
Thank God.
I don't have to wear.
It makes sense, too. If you're going to the range, I mean, I understand the train like you fight, but it's like, dude, if you got something about Special Force guys, there were some, God, what were their names? ODA guys over in Syria, right? These were like the cool kids on the block for us, right? These guys would go to we had like a little range on there, and these guys would never wear any like a flak, Kevlar, nothing. They're just shooting like normal. And then all of a sudden we gotta wear all these things, and then all of a sudden we look goofy compared to them. Damn, I wish I would have been able to shoot with one of the guys just to get the experience. I mean, when he says, because we're not going to be shooting at each other, that makes sense. It makes so much sense. But you know what they say? Here's another thing, a big tangent. If they say, train like you fight, why the hell are we shooting on a range with stationary targets poking up and down, right? In any of the tables that's shooting, even the ones where you got the target moving side to side, is the target going to be moving like that? Are you guys all going to be in a like line, like maybe in a defense, right? But you're not going to be shooting in that type of manner. I mean, it's almost, now that I think about it, the shooting range is not a very clear indication of how you would like be shooting in real life. At least that's what I'm thinking of right now. So we're not going to be shooting at each other. That makes 100% sense, right? I don't know. It's kind of a bit off tangent because obviously the shooting range pretty artificial.
I hardly ever had to wear my garbage.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man.
I don't know if you ever had these, but in our boot camp, we had kind of like a golf simulator, only for rifles.
Oh yeah, we had those.
Okay.
I don't think we had those we didn't have them in basic. They started implementing those when I was at Fort Polk. Yeah, it's just like a big white screen, and the gun has like a tube going to it that it kicks the bolt back when you pull the trigger.
It's been so long, I can't remember the specifics.
Yeah, we had.
I think he's talking about the Ismet thing. We had that in 29 Palms at the Flea. We didn't have it at boot camp though. Yeah, we had the Ismet, and we had like there was also one for like a 240 a law, or I think it was AT4. We had one for the 50 cal, which one of my buddies got to shoot. He was shooting it when I was shooting the 240 right next to him. He takes a couple shots, and the fucking 50 just goes. I mean, granted, there's nothing, since it's an indoor place, the Ismate, there's nothing to hold it down. There wasn't even sandbags on it, so the recoil isn't that big. Oh, God, that was hilarious.
We had something like that, yeah.
It was just so weird because we were up in the mountains doing regular mountain training in boot camp, and then on one of these hikes, they marched us into a building, and there was a screen. Not for PowerPoint presentations.
Ooh!
It was for playing a video game.
That'd be cool.
It was weird. There were some weird standout moments in my boot camp. The one that stands out as being the most surreal was the time we went to a baseball game.
Okay.
Yeah.
We saw the Padres too. We went there. We went in our Charlies, service Charlies, and it was pretty fun. It was like the first little moment of a little bit of that back to freedom, right? Not being in that boot camp thing. Obviously, your drone searchers are still there, but we saw the Padres versus another team. I don't remember who they were. Dude, that was the only game I ever went to. It's pretty damn surreal too, and I think they only allowed us $20, right? Because they didn't want us wasting a whole bunch of money like on food and everything. And we're walking everywhere. People are staring at us, right? And they're doing the clap, right? But the drone searchers are making us walk pretty damn fast. Yeah, I mean, it was just nice to get off base, man, or just get out of MCRD for like a day.
The San Diego Padres, I believe, is the team. We went to a baseball game.
Brought you a Major League Baseball game.
Yeah. And we were in the stands, and around the 7th inning, they went, "We'd like to pay tribute to the Marines from boot camp, blah, 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 up there in the bleachers over there." That may have been the only reason we were there, is just...
Okay, whoever the guy was that when, because they did that to us too. You know, you got those guys with the boxes and they're trying to sell stuff, right? Like, hey, cotton candy, drinks, and all that. And then somebody goes, "Eyeballs," says it out loud. And then we go, "Click, sir." And then we all turn. And then we see the guy and he just goes, "Got him." And I was like, God damn it, bro. You didn't really put us on blast like that. The guy was a dick, but it was pretty funny.
They could
All right, then.
pay tribute to us.
Well, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
One of the moments I had in basic training that was super cool was during a bunch of like different night exercises. And one of the ones that we did, the firing position that they had us go into was made out of like logs, and it was built into the earth. So you're in like this little bunker, and you're just in there by yourself. You get a little window that you're looking out of, and it's completely pitch black outside. You can't see anything. And then suddenly red flares just start going off, like shooting up into the sky, and then they shoot up a big illumination flare. Pop-up targets start popping up from like behind like wooden logs and behind stuff. It's like the shoot house scene in the beginning of Men in Black, only it's with like pop-up targets instead of aliens. And there's flares going off and you're in the middle of the woods and everybody's shooting stuff. And there's tracers ricocheting off things and you're just like, "Oh my God, this is like a fucking World War I movie, dude!"
With tracers, yeah.
Just shooting this stuff. They told us beforehand, like, put the rifle on burst, just lay into shit, so we're just shooting at everything that's popping up. It was fucking great. It was so cool.
All right.
That's one of the things that I miss about, like, basic training was basically running around the woods and playing soldier. Running around the woods and playing soldier is fucking awesome.
It has its moments.
Actually being in combat sucks.
Yes.
Actual war is terrifying.
No.
But playing soldier for fun is great.
Pretend war is fun.
Yeah. Did you have to do the thing where you have to crawl under barbed wire and they shoot over your head?
No.
They didn't make you do that? Are you sure?
Pretty sure they...
Okay. Well, I mean, we did it, but we had like speakers, right, that would simulate that gunfire. As far as the thing about what was it exactly that he said? As far as the targets, right? The only time I ever saw like the most, I guess, sophisticated targets was when we were doing a range over in Twine Palms, right? During the workup, we were, for some reason, I think it was at the last range in McCree, in that week and a half long exercise where we're at the last range, and all of a sudden we see the targets, and so we start shooting, but then we start seeing like targets moving, and they're moving on like these little what are they, Segway looking things, like 2 wheels and a little board, hoverboard practically, right? And they're moving, and all of a sudden a lot of us go, right, hold fire, because we're thinking they're real people, right? And we're just like, oh my god, we're shooting people right now. And it's just, probably just some random people that were just there. Maybe they were the workers, right, that were working on the range as far as setting everything up, right? And I'm just thinking, oh my god, dude, we're gonna be so effed right now. But then someone says, is that a hoverboard? And then we just keep shooting, like people keep shooting, and it weren't going down. So I'm like, there's no way they put targets on hoverboards. That to me was like some futuristic stuff right there. So we kept shooting. But dude, didn't we, some of us had a little panic attack thinking that we were just shooting some of the workers by accident.
Wouldn't do something that stupid.
Oh no, it's fun because the towers that they're shooting from, it's a machine gun that's up there, but the tower is like 10 feet up, and they can't actually point downwards.
The answer is still no, that never happened.
Wow.
If they wanted us to crawl through barbed wire, they would tell us to do that without firing a gun.
Oh yeah, that's part of like confidence training in the armies. You have to crawl under, they have like barbed wire above you.
Why would it build confidence if you know they can't shoot at you?
Because it's still freaking scary. You still hear bullets zipping over your head. Oh, and by the way, there's giant pits that are in there that have explosives in them, and they set the explosions off.
No, not actual explosives.
No, like actual, like it's a brick of C4. In a pit, 10 feet down. It's a loud explosion, and it throws up a whole bunch of dirt that flies all over the place, and it lands on you, and pieces of wood hit you, and you're like, oh my god!
Well, that seems a little more intense.
Yeah.
No, it did not happen to us.
Oh man, that was, again, one of my favorite moments. You can see the tracers going, and you can hear the bullets, like, snapping over your head. Mm-hmm. And you're crawling along, and there's, like, pits. They put explosives, and then they set the explosions off. So it's like artillery impacting or landmines going off or whatever. But there's no way you're going to get hit with anything.
Okay.
Because they're far down in the ground. But if you don't know that's how it's set, the only reason I know that's how it's set up is because I looked back at it.
Okay. At the time going through it, you didn't know.
At the time going through it, no. It just seems like there's a wall right there. There's a fucking bomb going off in it. They used to, in like World War II, if you stood up on one of those ranges, you would get shot because they just had the machine guns like right overhead. Mm. Several people got shot because they would panic and try to stand up and run away and then get shot.
Isn't that just culling the chaff, though? If you can't make it, maybe you deserve to be shot.
That's what I think. No, I thought it was super cool. I was like, this is great. Can we move the machine guns lower so I can really hear what it sounds like?
Could you move them even lower? I don't want to be here anymore.
I just realized that even though it was like 10 feet up in the air and they came at you, that's got to make your ears ring, right? Unless you're wearing like ear pro. But even then, if you're like crawling under barbed wire, those ear pro are probably gonna fall out. The only one real thing that I wanted to add on, and I was kind of waiting for the end there, that part about him saying like it's fun to like play soldier, or at least in my case, Marine, right? During training, as far as like doing it in actual combat, it obviously would suck a lot more. But just speaking from like a training perspective, was it whenever we did anything trench wise, it sucked just because we had to do so much running and it was hot and your breath, your throat's getting so dry because it was so damn hot in that desert. But when you're doing like urban training, right, or mount, there's something about it, right? When you're clearing rooms, even though hey, this is just training. My heart was like pumping, right? Like as far as that adrenaline, it's like there's something about it, but it's like an excited feeling, right? And then once you're able, if you're one of the guys who's able to get one of the role players right and go like bang, 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 right? And then obviously they fall down or something. In a weird way, I know everybody probably gonna look at it different, but there's like a satisfaction, right, in it, because some of these mount towns, especially range 220, dude, this thing was huge, and we had to clear it with like was it the whole battalion, right? India, Kilo, Lima, we all had our own like little sections that we would go to, and then introducing vehicles from like all the different cat platoons, weapons company, and all that. Dude, it was insane, man. All the little scenarios they would paint. If you want to have some adrenaline in your life, even that training part, dude, yeah, trust me, you'll get it. But yeah, that was the biggest thing, man. Especially urban environment. That's God. I mean, I don't know how I would react if I ever found myself like in a real combat situation in that type of environment. But I'm really glad I didn't, just because who knows? You're turning around a corner, and that's probably the last corner you turn. But that's all I'm gonna say on that. I just think, dude, like, there's something about it, man. As far as that training goes, when you feel like you're actually like doing some hardcore training, it's a whole nother feeling, right? Especially when you get that heart pumping. So that's all I gotta say with this video. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being patient, and thank you for pretty much everything. As far as the comments go, I love reading the comments again, man. But in any case, that's gonna go ahead and do it for this video. I will see you all in the next one.